On the track that connects the main line to the yard, there are a set of switches. They are simply known as trap switches. They can be used to divert engines away from the main line. They are activated by a powerful spring, but can also be activated from the cinderbox. Stephen, who had returned for being mended, didn't know why the switches were needed.
They should take away those stupid switches. Why would we want to go away from our nice warm shed? I ask you, there's no need for those stupid switches.
The other engines had heard about Stephen's accident on the bumpy track from Digby, and they knew Stephen was new to the railway and didn't know much about the Western Valley Railway. Neither of them could think of an answer since Stephen told them about the switches, so they didn't say anything. For the rest of the day, Stephen kept wondering about switches.
Huh, stupid switches.
That night, Stephen came back to the yard and found that he was alone. But this was because Heather wasn't due back to the following morning with the express, and Sandy was busy with the late-night goods train. Luckily for Stephen, he wasn't that alone. Across the yard, there was a party happening at the station. Tiffany, the bus driver, was getting married the following week, so Miss Edwards was throwing a special wedding party. She invited all the station crew and all the station master's friends. Congrats on your marriage tonight, Tiffany. Thank you so much, Chloe. This is a beautiful party.
I agreed. I love this wonderful party.
Everyone had a great time. Later, when the party was over, the firefighter remembered he had to go and light Stephen's fire. So he walked along the tracks and into the yard. Unfortunately, the firefighter was a little bit intoxicated. This made it difficult for him to climb into Stephen's cab.
Ah! Oh, my nose!
Eventually, after some mental preparation, he finally got into Stephen's cab. Stephen was asleep and woke suddenly, but then he realized it was a firefighter.
Oh, it's about time.
And as the fire lit, he dozed warmly. Fortunately, the firefighter was still intoxicated, so he thought it'd be fun to drive an engine. He flicked the brake off and then opened the regulator, but nothing happened. Disappointed, the firefighter went back to put everything back the way it was. But as he did, the alcohol lived on his body overcame him, and with a big thud, he fell out of the cab without closing the regulator. Next morning, Stephen awoke, but was surprised to find that it was still early.
Driver can't be here yet.
But then he remembered what had woken him up. Steam was trickling into his cylinders. And because the regulator was off, Stephen started slowly moving forward.
Oh my goodness! What's happening? I'm moving on my own! Bother that firefighter! Miss Edwards is going to pay for what she had started at a party with an alcoholic firefighter! Oh no! Help!
Stephen was scared. But then, suddenly, he remembered. He was edging slowly towards the switches that led to the main line.
Puffing pistons! Somebody do something to save me! The main line is dangerous for me to stop!
Then he heard a loud whistle, and in the distance, he saw Heather coming down the main line of the express.
Oh, bollocks! Wait, the trap switches. That's it. They'll save me. Cinnamon, set the switches quickly!
The Cinnamon, who had been at the party and recovered from drinking, quickly set the switches just in time. Heather saw Stephen and nearly missed him as she chuffed past. Stephen was relieved. He was safe. Later, Miss Edwards arrived on board Layla, who came to pull Stephen back on track. Stephen was worried Miss Edwards would be cross.
I'm sorry, Miss Edwards. I didn't mean to get into another accident.
Don't worry, Stephen. I know you still had a lot to learn, but I'm aware of what happened. The firefighter was carelessly leaving the regulator open when he became alcoholic last night. He's lucky he didn't get hurt from all the drinking, which it's my fault for bringing alcoholics to him and all the station crew at Tiffany's wedding party. Therefore, he shall be resting for a while until he is recovered. And I'm also pleased to hear that while you started going out without your driver, you shot out to the cinnamon to help preventing a nasty accident with Heather. You were clever to stop on the trap switches. Stephen was surprised that he didn't know what to say, but then he smiled. After all, it was his first time saving Heather and the express. The news soon spread, and when Stephen came back to the sheds, all the engines were there with whistles and cheers congratulating him. Even though Stephen didn't think he was a hero, he knows that now the switches are the only things to keep him safe from going out and about on the main line. And sometimes, they help preventing the engines derailing too.